Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. I will ride with this group. Seriously, man. Please. And away we go.
Okay, boys, it's time for another round of NFL Takes. Our weekly playground to we're going to include Vikings here too. We do include Vikings also in Purple Daily NFL Takes, but we go beyond Vikings here. It's real estate for us to explore in Kansas City, in San Francisco, maybe in Dallas, right? A reminder, by the way, that tickets are available for the 2025 Purple Daily Draft Party presented by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, scorenorth.com/draft. We are just 3.5 weeks away from night one of the NFL draft. We're back at the Fillmore in Minneapolis, Thursday, April 24th at 7 p.m. And we're looking forward to it. We're going to be there all night long, keeping you posted on the draft from a Vikings perspective, but also just celebrating the free agency period, your favorite football team, and this podcast and the audience. It's the most fun event we do every year, the draft party, and we appreciate Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, 2 Men in a Junk Truck, and Roku, and our other partners for helping to put this on in 2025. So, Judd, why don't you deliver the first NFL take?
All right. My first take is a ranking. So just for a little bit of background, I've spent the last week working on Vikings 2025 mock schedule 1.0 Sports Dad. And as I was going through doing this, I'm looking at the home games, 8 home games. And I start to look at the teams. And of course, when you look at the teams, you think about the quarterbacks. And I realized it has the potential to be a freaking gauntlet at US Bank Stadium. So what I'm going to give you 8-1 is a ranking, my personal ranking of the gauntlet of quarterbacks from least scary to the most very scary quarterbacks.
Ranking the quarterbacks.
I feel like we should have collaborated on this, Judd. I could have made the Dex tiers. Could have put these in tiers for you, like the least scary, most scary, the S tier, the Joe Burrow
Halloween
tier or
theme.
something. Yeah, something like that.
The Freddy Krueger tier. Well, you can certainly do that.
Well, you could do the whole schedule because this is just the home games, right? That you're doing.
Yes, I'm just doing the 8 home
Dex
games.
could do tiers for all of the quarterbacks.
I like that.
Oh, there we go.
Because the road games, the gauntlet is not as tough, but this is very tough. All right,
cool.
Starting at number 8. from the Atlanta Falcons. No, Kirk Cousins probably gone by then. So Michael Penix Jr. will start, I assume, for the Falcons. He is the easiest of the quarterbacks, and I'm not quite sure he's not good. I'm not quite sure. Has to prove it. But, I mean, I certainly am not laughing at, oh, man, he's been around. He's a journeyman. He's a slouch. No, he's a first-round pick. He's a guy that the Vikings definitely, we know for a fact, like to lock themselves. Yeah. Michael Penix Jr., number 8.
Yep, that's, at this point, I would say he's still young enough and has not proven enough. I think you'd still put him in the bin of not super scary. If this was tiers, this would not be Michael Myers wandering around your neighborhood and you're hiding from him. But depending on when that game is, I mean, if that's week 1, all right, not too scary. If he's got it rolling and now it's week 11 or week 12 or something, it kind of depends on. He's probably going to be better after playing more football games. So if you can get him early in the season, you can fluster him.
This list includes what I would say no real slappies. Number 7. From the Chicago Bears, the first overall pick of the 2024 draft, Caleb Williams, second easiest QB.
Okay.
Ben Johnson, he could, and it's wait and see, just to be very, very clear here. It's wait and see, but I think the Bears are going to be, for their sake, a team that doesn't look like a dumpster freaking fire with a clueless coach. So I'm putting Caleb Williams at number 7.
Now, he did have 74 combined sacks and interceptions thrown last year, which was the largest total of anyone in the league.
They've rebuilt their line a bit. So.
He also fumbled 10 times. So he had
small hands.
84 combined fumbles, interceptions, and sacks last year.
That's why he's 7th on this list.
Yeah, and it should be a better system and whatnot, but
he's going to prove himself.
At this point, he's just like
himself.
He's a giveaway waiting to happen, and you should welcome playing him until he proves otherwise.
Number 6, and I'm not doing this on purpose because of the division, and this is where it starts to get a little bit dicey. Number 6 from the Green Bay Packers, Declan's guy, Jordan Love.
Interesting.
I'm putting him 6th. I mean, that could be considered a slight. But I think as I go through the rest of this list,
sure,
you're going to say, "Oh wow, hold on a second, Brian Flores, right now watching film, getting ready to pick these guys apart." Number 5 from the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff.
Wow,
that
okay,
might
it's
seem
like
low.
borderline MVP candidate.
Exactly.
Last year.
Exactly right.
And there's 4 better quarterbacks on the schedule.
There's 4 scarier quarterbacks.
On the home schedule, man.
So I've got home schedule. So I've gone Penix, Caleb, Jordan Love, Jared Goff. That gets us to our top 4. Number 4 is the guy that won the freaking Super Bowl. That's right, from the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts.
Well, we'll find out, because one of his main weapons is the tush push, and not to spoil the NFL rules portion of the proceedings, which we'll get to next. They've put the tush push conversation on pause for now till May, but they may decide in May for. It sounds like now the talking point among coaches to get rid of it. It's this like coded language of safety of players is a concern. Which maybe it is because, it's a really fierce, aggressive head-on collision play.
Yep.
But if it gets banned, I think it's going to be framed as a player safety hazard more than anything else. But if you take that tool away from Jalen Hurts, much less dangerous.
When the Packers first proposed that the tush push be outlawed, I thought that we saw immediate studies of it. Really, there aren't a lot of, at least there's not a lot of corresponding injuries, but it's weird because, to your point, the coaches now have been talking about it for 2 days.
Yep. They're just trying to find any way, because if you just say, we aren't good at it and we can't stop it, and that's why we want to ban it, you look like a coward. But if you say, well, it's there's been some concussion issues in the NFL. And
the Packers basically said, we don't like it. We're not good at that. And we can't stop it. The Packers are basically said, the Packers and Detroit both proposed rules to help themselves with no football. Yeah. We care about football.
The Lions are like, we're super handsy and get called for a ton of defensive holding penalties. Let's make it less punitive. You know what the Vikings should do? The Vikings should petition so that you can't run the ball inside the 7-yard line. It's level the playing field. The Vikings can't run the ball themselves inside the 7-yard line. So let's punish all the other teams that can.
I got it. And granted, I actually don't think this happened too often this last year, which was like the first time. But there is that stat that opposing kickers are just nails against the Vikings, especially in improbable distances. You are not allowed to kick a 50-yard field goal against the Vikings. The Vikings are just like, we're done with 50-yard field goals. You have to be from 49 and in. Then you're okay to kick a field goal.
Yep. You either have to punt or go for it. You do not have the option of kicking the 54-yard field goal with 3 seconds left in the first half to give yourself momentum at US Bank Stadium.
All right. So Jalen Hurts, number 4. Number 3 of the QBs the Vikings will face next season at home, Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders.
Wow.
Number 3?
This is a loaded slate.
It gets
and it's
worse.
also it's going to be a lot of anxiety for Vikings fans, but it's also a fun, going to watch Jaden Daniels play is fun.
Well, and watching Brian Flores against these guys, it's not like you got, Ed Donatel trying to stop this list of guys. You've got an actually really good personnel-based defense and a DC that's really good.
So J.J. McCarthy is going to be able to face many of the quarterbacks that were drafted in and around him in the same first round. Very interesting.
Yep. So Jaden Daniels of the Commanders is number 3. Number 2, the Bengals' Joe Burrow.
Wow.
Joe cool.
He's number 2, and that leaves only one left, and of course that is the Ravens' 2-time MVP, Lamar Jackson.
On the fast track, man. Lamar Jackson.
How about that
inside
list,
US Bank Stadium.
How about
first
that
time,
list?
Right? I don't think he's ever come here.
Boy, the mobility of some of these guys, too, to have to worry about the legs of Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And that if you're making a list of the greatest rushing quarterbacks of all time, Lamar Jackson's probably number one. Michael Vick is going to be on that list, prime Michael Vick. Jaden Daniels looks like he's going to be on that list going forward.
Sure.
And, I mean, Caleb Williams can buzz around with mobility. Jalen Hurts, obviously. So you're going to have your hands full.
And Joe Burrow will be fun to watch live, I think, too.
I bet. Yeah.
Lamar, Jaden Daniels, and Burrow, I think live are going to be really, because there's certain things about them that I think you don't see on TV necessarily that will be fun.
I'd say the get in the door price this year for a game at US Bank Stadium is probably going to be a little higher than normal for your average game.
Good team.
Also,
too.
In terms of going back to the over under win totals, all right, chalk this up as a win for the 8.5 line, because in terms of it being accurate. Because if you just were to look at these 8 home games and say, okay, JJ McCarthy as an unknown commodity, at best, how many games of these 8 at home will you be considered to have the quarterback advantage?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe 2. Maybe
Penix,
2. Penix and Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
And then it all depends. Obviously, if JJ looks incredible in week 5, week 6, you might say that. But you're talking about if you're just ranking the best quarterbacks in the NFL, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, all very much like, I would say Jordan Love can be a question mark sometimes, but the other 5 guys, top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. Jordan Love at his best is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Yep.
So, oof.
And remember last year too, and I think this is why maybe you want like Lamar and Burrow early, because last year they had Purdy and CJ Stroud, their first 2 home games, and I think we were like, man, if they can just split those games, that'd be a huge win. They end up honestly controlling the games in both those and kind of winning in dominant fashion. But I wonder how that will shake out. Would you rather play Joe? I think you'd rather play Joe Burrow in September than December, right? I think.
Unless he's
the
Bengals
are notoriously terrible starters, and the Ravens. I don't know, the Ravens. It depends. They started 0-2 last year, but so yeah, that's quite the slate. I'm excited for Declan to do the entire slate of quarterbacks in tier form, so maybe we can pump that out in the next couple weeks. Okay, let's move forward.
What do you got?
My first take is I kind of love most of the NFL rule changes. So let's go through some of this. Is all being reported this morning from the NFL owners meetings. There's been some voting. There's been some tabling. But I'll go through some of these. From Jonathan Jones reporting, the NFL owners have passed a rule that will change regular season overtime to giving both teams the opportunity to possess the ball, just like playoff overtime. The overtime period will remain at 10 minutes instead of stretching to 15. The original proposal was for 10 minutes. Was for 15 minutes, but the league was concerned about longer overtimes that could bleed into the next window of games. So they're keeping it at 10 minutes. So now we have the same overtime rule, regular season and playoffs, except in the playoffs, obviously, there's no ties. So it's a 15-minute period, and then if you're still tied, you go into a second overtime period. But I love this because it aligns it. And what also is interesting, keeping the period at 10 minutes, is it might take you 8 or 9 minutes to march down the field and score a touchdown.
The other team's
and there's some strategy in this. You could just hold the ball.
Right.
Or I guess if, let's say you have a 9-minute, 57-second drive that puts you inside the 10-yard line. There's 3 seconds left. You could kick a game-winning field goal in overtime, right? Because then the time would run out and the opposing team. So time being a factor is a major thing with the 10-minute period.
And if you get the ball back, though, so if your opponent, gives you the ball back with a very small amount of time left, and you're the Vikings, for instance, too, it incentivizes you to just go deep for Justin Jefferson.
Well, you'd have no choice. If they score a touchdown with 2 minutes left,
I'm saying,
and you have 2 minutes to score a touchdown.
So now you've got to go. But so it's going to force offense,
and
which I sort of like.
It'll force major decisions because of the timing of this. on whether you want to tie the game or go for the win.
Sure.
So let's say you score a touchdown and they kick the extra point and you score a touchdown. Do you go for 2 to win the game?
Why don't
Do
we
you
go to
tie
12
it?
though? Why?
Yeah, I don't
Just
like
go from 10 to 12. Just
Yeah,
go from
I don't
10
like
to
10.
12.
They don't want to. Yeah, I get not
15
wanting
minutes.
to bleed into the next window of games. Like
Yeah,
they're trying
sure.
to control the time.
It's going to be interesting though. Create chaos.
Yeah. Okay, Mike Garafolo has this nugget that actually it's all of the NFL Network guys here. So expanded replay assist has been approved for 2025.
But
It's only to pick up more flags, not put them down though. So it's more help from above. If a flag is thrown,
yeah,
then you can. But okay, then if you're an official, shouldn't you just throw a flag on almost anything, and then have the upstairs crew take a look at it in slow motion? Ooh, that looked
Or
like
is-
it might have been something. I'm going to throw a flag, and then they can help me.
so are we going to be doing this on? So this is. They can help assist on what? If I throw a flag for a face mask and it's not.
Yeah, has it? I haven't
Like
seen specifically the parameters. It just says expanded replay assist.
So
has
I
been
take it it's
approved.
not going to be like a hold because that's a subjective call.
Let's see here.
It's going to have to be something that you missed that's blatant. I think.
I just want to see if they've specified anything. So it'll allow both. Both teams possess the ball in overtime. We already did that one. We have to do more digging on this.
Okay.
But they've been the whole thing with replay assist has been cloak and dagger and very vague. It was like all of a sudden in week 3 last year, it's like a referee picks up the flag and says, "Replay assist has confirmed that this wasn't a penalty." Like, well, what's replay assist? Is it a person? Is it AI? Are they in New York? Are they here in
I think,
Minneapolis?
I think it's a guy upstairs. But the Vikings Rams game, the playoff game, had a very clear instance, although the league didn't admit it, where they threw a flag for a face mask that they didn't see, and all of a sudden the official just sort of throws the flag out.
Right.
And it's like,
But they should be able to. Okay, here's the clarification. So under the new policy, hits on a defenseless player grabbing the face mask, performing a horse collar tackle, tripping, and running into or roughing the kicker can be reviewed. The proposal comes with a catch. Those penalties can only be reviewed if officials throw the flag on a play. If a coach believes the flag was not warranted, he can challenge and potentially have the penalty overturned. In cases where no flag is thrown by an official, coaches will not be eligible to challenge. If an official misses a penalty, a coach can't use replay to change the situation. So Sam Darnold getting his neck craned in the end zone against the Rams, because there was no flag thrown, there would be no ability to review that or.
so does this mean that a coach can or has to challenge it for it to be because replay assist was to your point this sort of voice of God.
Correct.
You missed the call.
I think it's like a built-in mechanism. So it sounds like a coach can challenge some of these things that he wasn't able to do so before, but also replay assist might just come in if there was a flag thrown in.
Because if I throw a flag for a face mask and it turns out that the guy's helmet turned just because I hit his helmet with my hand and I didn't grab his face mask, I would
get
think
it right.
And that shouldn't have to be challenged though.
Right.
They should just call down and say no. It's not.
But what is preventing them? I get holding.
Right.
I get pass interference. Those are super ticky-tack. But if it's a 15-yard game-altering thing,
I agree,
and someone had a face mask ripped 90 degrees
call down
sideways
and
the ref misses it, why can't we get it right? And by the way, all of us are watching these games on, 4K, 1080p,
including
4K.
replay assist.
Right. And we all have to just and because we rip on these referees, but because the referee who's trying to officiate these machines running 4, 3, 5, 40-yard dashes, that all of us have to know 10 seconds later that was the wrong call, and we can't do anything about it. It's ridiculous.
Do you want to know a really stupid fact, like just from a starting point that has nothing to do with the actual replay process? Think about this for a second. The guy in charge of the quarterback, like being roughed or it's the referee who's lined up behind the quarterback. The Darnold screw up starts because the referee can't see it. Like, how is that guy in charge of the face mask on the quarterback? He's working from the quarterback's backside.
Yep. Yeah, but this is why, all of us have access, including replay assist. Okay, here's another one. So the NFL is moving the touchback. So it's last year with the new kickoff format. If you kicked a ball through the back of the end zone in the air, for instance, or into the end zone, the touchback came to the 30-yard line, right? They're moving it to the 35-yard line now. So they really want to incentivize kick returns and action. Kevin Seifert tweeted, with this touchback spot change, the NFL has been projecting an increase in the return rate from 33% to potentially 70% this year. There are some downstream aspects that could come into play in terms of field position, scoring, game management when you add that many plays, etc. So, yeah, I mean, when it was the 30-yard line, especially late in games, you're up by 14 points, just kick it. Just kick it through the end zone and give them the ball with 70 yards to go. But the more you inch that field position up to the 35, maybe they have to go to the 40 at some point. They're trying to get kickers to drop that ball in the landing zone between the goal line and the 20-yard line.
And it's still, if a kicker kicks a ball out of bounds, it's still the 40, right?
Yeah. And if he kicks
That's
it
crazy.
and it lands in the landing zone and then skips through the end zone, it's the 25 or the 20? Because that would be, you'd be rewarded for that. If you, because you're doing your job as a kicker, you're kicking it in the landing zone, and if they decide to let it roll, like the running back lets it roll through the end zone, I believe the touchback spot is, because you shouldn't get rewarded for, if you're the kick return team and the kicker kicks one in the landing zone and you let it roll through the back of the end zone, you shouldn't get the ball at the 35. The kicker did his job. So I think that version of the touchback, I think, stays where it was.
It's a very interesting thing because I have completely lost track of where the ball goes based on what. Like I used to know because it was very, very simple, and now it's like, no, it's not the 30.
Confusing.
It's at the 35, but this one's at the 20, and so yes, I'm very confused.
And then the only other one here is that the NFL decided to push the tush-push ban and the discussion about it to May. According to Tom Pelissero, there were strong opinions voiced by coaches on both sides of the debate the past couple days. The NFL's medical experts have emphasized to owners there is potential injury risk, even with the lack of data to prove it. The next scheduled league meeting is in mid-May.
Here.
At TCO Performance Center. Yeah,
exactly right.
At Viking World or whatever they're calling
Viking Lakes Hotel.
Lakes.
Right by that nice restaurant we talked about.
So I like most of what they're cooking up here for rule changes. But we'll see what they.
I want replay assist to be just out in the open and more involved.
Agreed. 100% agree. All right, Dex, give us an NFL take.
My take would be, ho ho ho. The NFL loves their Christmas, and they're taking things over. How Roger Goodell stole Christmas again from the NBA and from everyone else. So. There will be 3 Christmas Day games in 2025. Now, I will say, I think I'll soon we forget, in 2022 and 2023, there was also 3 NFL games, but that was also because Christmas fell on a Sunday and a Monday in those years, respectively. This past year, it was on a Wednesday, which obviously the NFL doesn't play on Wednesdays. This year, it being on a Thursday. So there will be 3 Christmas Day games. So Judd, I mean, I don't think anyone in the world is happier than Judd Zolgad, who gets to watch his football on Christmas Day, gets to turn down family events, gets to not have to leave the couch. But you know what? I'm for it too. I think this is exciting. I wonder if because the Vikings played on Christmas in 2020 against the Saints. It was a awful game. It was Alvin Kamara had like 6 touchdowns, but Christmas in the NFL back together.
All streaming too. Netflix, Amazon, and I wouldn't discount the Vikings. Let's just say this: I wouldn't put a fork in the potential of us doing a vent line on December 25th.
Yeah, feels like they're due for something like this.
Last year's viewing on those games, by the way, so Chiefs and Steelers did 24.1 million. I think that was the network TV one, right? Was that that Netflix?
That was Netflix.
Those are Netflix.
That was Netflix. Those are both had Netflix. Ravens Texans did 24.3. The NBA views during the same times for games: 7.7 for Lakers, 5.1 million for Celtics, 4.9 for Knicks, 4.3 for Timberwolves and Mavs, 3.8 for Nuggets and Suns. So the NFL obviously still reigning very much supreme on Christmas Day.
It's funny. Yeah, the NFL, if Christmas is on a Saturday or a Sunday, they'll put games on for decades. But the middle of the week thing, when Christmas is a Wednesday, a Thursday, they started kind of inching their way into the NBA.
Let me scooch on by here.
Let's just throw a game here and see what happens.
You're going off the cliff.
And now they're like, move over, Adam Silver.
They're just driving a truck.
I can't wait until it'll be like a Tuesday, whenever the Christmas rotation falls back on a Tuesday. Let's put 10 games. Let's put 2 games in the morning.
Full slate.
2 games. Yeah, a couple games in London. Christmas in London. The NFL. Wake up early, kids.
This is so interesting, though.
The NFL is hilarious, man. But yeah, like they are, the NBA has seen a little erosion in some of its like finals numbers and playoff numbers over the years. And we've talked about baseball on like the Score on Our Twin show, and where they did get a spike with Dodgers Yankees in the World Series last year, but it has never been more clear what the number one far and away most popular sport is in this country. And it was in question maybe 30 years ago. Baseball was still America's pastime, and the steroid era was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But the NFL can pretty much elbow its way wherever it wants and be the highest rated live television program, period. It's always funny when you see the list of like, here's the top 100 highest rated TV shows on like cable and network TV last year. And 96 of them are NFL or college football games.
Bucks Steelers, December 23rd.
Totally. LSU, Alabama, SEC championship game or whatever. So, all right, dudes.
Very nice.
Love it.
Those are our NFL takes here. Purple Daily NFL takes. If you enjoy us venturing outside the Viking sphere, continue to support this weekly show here, this spin-off show. You can click the like button and the subscribe button on the Purple Daily YouTube channel to help us keep growing this thing. And then on Apple and Spotify, a 5-star rating and a positive review also goes a long way. So I'll do some write that down predictions tomorrow. See you guys.